I'm going to introduce you to Crystal Marull. So she will hopefully give us a little bit of information about herself, and I'm going to just turn the platform over to you.
Okay, great. And I'm just waiting for the page to come up so I can hit present. But in the meantime, just to present myself, my name is Crystal Marull. I work at the University of Florida. I coordinate the online Spanish program at the University of Florida. And within that capacity, I've been relying a lot on virtual exchange to provide authentic experiences to my students. And what I wanted to do in this presentation today is just share some of the initiatives we've been doing and provide some feedback of how it's been working and discuss how the strategies are translatable probably to other disciplines other than language learning. So let me see if it'll let me click on present now. It's still loading real slow. Okay. It's just going to be one of those days. Okay. Victoria, can you just confirm that you can see the presentation?
We can see it. Thank you.
Okay, great. Let's see if it works. Oh boy, I got a feeling. Oh, wait. All right, it's going. Skipped way too many slides now. Okay. So again, the goal of the presentation today is just to share how I've been adapting virtual exchange to enhance the online language classroom. And I'm going to go into a little bit of a deep dive of exactly what type of virtual exchange activities I've been doing, mainly through my third-party provider, which is Lingua Meeting. And I'll talk a little bit about their services and what they've been able to facilitate for my course to make it as excellent as it is. And then I have some data that I wanted to share from the student perspective. So I just wanted to frame my approach to the online learning platform is taken by David Kolb, where he talks about how learning is the process whereby knowledge is created through the transformation of experience. So I'm really looking to give my students an experience with the language. I'm not trying to just feed them grammar and vocabulary, but have an authentic experience that actually transforms their approach to language learning and their motivations and really changes the way they're thinking about learning languages. And then, of course, I'm informed by research in the language acquisition field that states that successful second language acquisition necessitates authentic learning environments that facilitate L2 input and interactions with native speakers. So the challenge, of course, then was, well, how do I provide these experiential, authentic language learning opportunities in an online classroom, specifically when I have large enrollment classrooms and I do asynchronous courses. So the opportunity to provide students with that actual authentic engagement was a real challenge in the beginning of how I could set that up. Fortunately, within this space of online language learning, there's been several companies that have emerged that offer the opportunity to pair language students with native speakers in Spanish-speaking countries or other languages. And this allows the students to engage in small groups, something that I can't do when I'm teaching a group of 80 online students or 120 at my current caps. And it allows them to have that intimate relationship with a coach who can have organic type conversations with the students and really share their culture as well as the language practice while building a friendship with the students, which is highly motivating. And I work specifically with Lingua Meeting. I think it's the best in this field. I can give you my reasons why if anybody's actually interested in the specifics, but there are other providers in this field. But I just think par excellence is Lingua Meeting. So my students are meeting with their language coach. It's worth 30% of their grade. They meet every week for 30-minute periods, and they're in small groups of 2 or 3 other students with a language coach. They can choose the coach they want to work with based on some biographical information that's provided on the platform, either from the country of origin or from their own background and interests. And also, they can also just choose based on their availability. So here, I just wanted to give you a flavor. You don't have to actually understand Spanish to understand the vibe that occurs in these coaching sessions. This is our beloved coach, Maria Centeno. She's from Ecuador. She's been building rapport with these 3 students over the semester. And this is just a little highlight of one of her interactions with them.
Chicas, ustedes recuerdan.
Are you guys hearing it or do I need to share my audio?
Yeah, we can hear it.
Great.
¿Qué es esto? ¿Qué es esta belleza? Es guinea pig. Sí. Así que This is cuy, cuy asado. Tienes que venir a Ecuador y comer esto. Lo siento, ok, está fuera, está fuera. Bebida favorita, ¿qué bebida te gusta?
So hopefully what you can see that the topic was food and they're discussing food, and Maria, being from Ecuador, was sharing a traditional plate in Ecuador, which is very common, but of course not so common for the American students, which is roasted guinea pig. And you can see by the expressions of the students, this is definitely a culturally challenging topic. They find it sad, they find it shocking. And Maria deals with the topic with a great deal of humor. The students are safe to express their opinions and their feelings. And she's just really created a very warm and supportive environment where the students are engaged, they're motivated to talk about things, and she carries this throughout with all her sessions with her students. This has been a fabulous addition. Our students, well, actually, I think I have feedback. So the students in several surveys that I've conducted over the years have reported a high level of satisfaction with these types of engagements with their coaches. They report feeling less isolated, that they develop a friendly relationship with their coach, that they actually prefer learning about countries and cultures by talking to their coach versus doing other asynchronous type of activities that might be provided in the textbook, and that they think that having these sessions improve the overall quality of the online course. And many of them also reflect on the fact that had they not had these coaching sessions, they have very limited opportunities in their real life to speak with native speakers and to practice their Spanish that they're developing. So they find it very useful to be able to be connected to somebody in a foreign country who understands that they're learning the language, who's supportive of their efforts to use the language. And it allows both the coach to share information about their home country, as well as the student to share information about their country, which is developing their cultural competencies and leads the students having a more favorable impression of their coach's country before they had participated in these sessions. So they've been extremely positive, transformational. Our courses have done extremely well by using this activity in our course. However, they do have a few limitations. And some of these limitations were that these 30-minute coaching sessions were constrained to the course content and objectives. They were top-down designed, meaning that I would provide to the coach what the topics of conversation should be. I didn't micromanage how they address those topics, but I would ask them to speak about certain things in alignment with the textbook. So this would sometimes lead to a constrained conversation that would be more focused on form and function and could reduce the limits of cultural exploration. So for example, Maria talking about the guinea pig as a meal, I'm sure she could go more into depth about how Ecuadorians relate to animals, what type of animals are considered food and livestock versus those which are considered pets. And there could be a lot more that explored, but however, since the focus was food, she moved on then to talking about something else. So there was some restriction on the cultural depth of exploration. And lastly, a lot of students are highly anxious in these sessions, especially in the beginning, because they're being put on the spot to produce language, which is quite difficult in the beginning levels of Spanish. And granted, the coaches are fabulous at offering that effective support, encouraging the students to just try, do their best, and allowing them to know that they're not being judged, but rather they're just given an opportunity. But nonetheless, there is high levels of student anxiety with regard to the foreign language use in these encounters. So to address some of these limitations, over the past few semesters, I've actually been collaborating with Lingua Meeting in the development of what they call experiences. These are open in topic, and they are cultural explorations that mix some live exploration with pre-organized slides. And it's organic in that it's bottom up, meaning that the coaches themselves come up with topics that they want to share with the students that they feel that they haven't been able to appropriately or completely address in the coaching sessions on conversation. So it allows them to showcase a cultural topic that they find quite interesting that they want their students in the US to know. Although the topics are very different, they follow a similar structure. They all start with a contextualization of the country and the topic at hand. There's some sort of introduction to the specific topic, and then there's a mix of either live experience or pre-made multimedia slides that highlight the cultural exploration, which also involves a lot of engagement with the students, allowing the students to engage either by responding to questions in the chat, responding to a poll question, but never putting the students on the spot to produce orally in front of the crowd if they don't want to. The idea is kind of to replicate if you were in a foreign country and if you joined a tour, your level of participation besides walking along with the tour and paying attention is really up to you how much you actually engage. And this has been found to be much less stressful for the students and quite engaging. This is just a little preview, and then I'm going to share a more in-depth exploration of this with you.
Las mujeres de la comunidad. Él tenía como misión enseñar a las mujeres a realizar.
Pregunta, ¿cómo se llama este lugar? A ver, ¿cómo se llama este hermoso lugar? Es una de las maravillas de todo lo que está debajo compone nuestra historia. Pues vamos a hacer un pequeño paseo en el que vamos a ver do Brasil, talvez aqui, talvez por aqui. Eu tenho.
Buenos Aires es la ciudad del tango. Y el tango es una marca argentina.
Cacao ya no era como rojo, sino estaba un poco más. ¿Qué creen que es esto, chicos? ¿De qué tiene una figura?
Ya, rojo y sale. Es un po' di pepe nero.
Pues ya es detallada. Más cosas.
So hopefully what you could get from that mini promo video is an overview of the breadth and depth of these types of experiences. They're offered on all different topics and even offered in different languages. Specifically in the Spanish language, this is a small sample of the topics that they've come up with. There's been one that's a bike ride through Cali, Colombia, where they have a live GoPro person, a person sitting on a bike with a GoPro, and he rides through Cali, Colombia. He takes a stop to show off some of the monuments in the park. He orders a beverage from a local stand. He asks the students what fruits he should have in his beverage. He chooses those fruits. And then he goes to his peers who are on Zoom, who share different slides about the different foods that are offered in Colombia. And then he shows up at a little snack bar where he buys some fried food and shares ideas about the empanadas and the other food that's popular to be eaten on the street in Cali, Colombia. And I also want to share a little bit in depth about the chocolate factory tour in Ecuador. And this is where I'm going to highlight some of the actual elements of a specific experience so that you can have a better idea of what it would be like from the student's perspective. Granted, this is a recording of the interaction, so you don't actually see the students' part, you only see the hosts. But as the coaches are interacting, I think you can imagine how the students might be participating. So I'm just going to go through a few little clips here so you can have a feeling of what it would be like to participate in one of these experiencias in Spanish. And this is the Chocolate Factory Tour in Ecuador.
Hola chicos, hola, muy buenas tardes, muy buenos días chicos, bienvenidos a una experiencia con lengua meeting, ¿sí? ¿Qué tal chicos? ¿Cómo están? ¿Cómo están? ¿Están bien? ¿Están mal? ¿Están?
I'm going to jump ahead a little bit.
Muchas cosas. Número 1, la recolección. Número 2, María.
Ok, la producción. Y número 3, Gabriel.
La variedad, los tipos de chocolate, ¿sí? Pues vamos, chicos, vamos.
Exacto.
Bienvenidos a este día dulce con Lingua Meeting. Pero,
I'm going to jump ahead to share a little bit more of what they do in this session.
vamos con la producción del chocolate. ¿Cuántos pasos son necesarios para la producción, María?
Ok, atención chicos, que aquí empieza lo bueno, ¿ok? Mucha atención. Necesitamos 6 procesos.
Oh, ¿6 procesos?
Exactamente, para transformar la semilla que tú tienes ahí a
Semillas, chocolate.
el chocolate. Exactamente, 6 pasos.
6 procesos, ¿sí? ¿Y cuál es el proceso número 1, María? ¿Cuál es el proceso número 1?
La tostadora. Chicos,
I'm just going to share a little bit more. You get a full
¿Otra
flavor.
vez magia? No, María, no.
sí, yo puedo hacer magia. Mira,
¿Eso es como un balón de fútbol americano, María? Sí.
mira, te vas a sentir ahora. Mira,
Ay, a ver.
a la casa.
Ay, oh, no, soy un chocolate otra vez, ¿no? No, María, no, por favor, María, por favor.
Ay, está bien. Vuelve, Gabriel, vuelve. A la casa.
No funciona, María, no.
And
Por
then-
favor. No más. Vamos a este link.
All right. And then at the end of so you can see that they're exploring chocolate. They're exploring the chocolate production. They talk about all the steps involved. They have videos that share it. They have entertainment value where they perform magic tricks and turn each other into chocolate bars. And they do all this with a lower level of Spanish so that the students can follow along. And at the very end, the students have the opportunity to participate in a Kahoot where they can then check their comprehension knowledge of what they've learned throughout the process. Yeah, so that's kind of a brief overview of what an experiencia actually looks like. This one was more based on multimedia, but some of them would have like a live demonstration of a cooking show or a live dance element, but it's always mixing the multimedia with the live. One of the great things about this chocolate factory tour was that the winner of the Kahoot in one of their sessions was actually mailed a gift package of chocolates from Ecuador. So it really closed that loop of encountering the coaches from Ecuador and learning about their products, learning about their culture, and then actually being able to experience it in their home. So this student was kind enough to send me a picture of the gift package that she received. You can see here she has the vocabulary list that she had printed out to help her understand the experience. And then you have all the chocolates that she received. And what I thought was really awesome is that she even got her parents involved to try the chocolate and to thank us back with words in Spanish saying delicioso and muchas gracias. So it's not just all fun and games because the students do need to have this integrated into the course. So there is a graded element of this, but the idea is for them to be engaged in the activity. So what they need to do is they need to register for the activity. They have to download that vocabulary sheet in advance to make sure they're prepared to engage and understand what's going on. And then most importantly, there's a reflection piece. And that's really where the gold is in these activities, to have the student summarize what they've taken away from them. This is what the reflection looks like. Here I have a little quote from one student. I know we're out of time, but we started a little late, so hopefully I can steal a few minutes here. The student described their main takeaways from the experience as my main takeaway from this experience was that I now appreciate how important chocolate making is to Ecuador. The many varieties offered by Salineritos makes me want to find them and try as many as I can. I will happily try new flavors and support Ecuador's economy if I can. Even though I prefer live tours, Gabriel and Maria were hilarious and very fun. They spoke so clearly and at such a good pace, I could easily follow their dialogue. They had a great mix of photos, written words, and physicality to accompany their dialogue. They gave me confidence in my Spanish comprehension skills because I felt like I really learned something new. So, beyond the linguistic benefits of these experiences, I was interested in how it affected them more broadly with their international critical thinking skills and communication attitudes, which is one of our one of our main missions at the University of Florida is to increase our students' international thinking. So I designed a survey, I administered it to our students, and again, I got very positive feedback. So this is thinking beyond the linguistic skills per se, and thinking more about broadly interacting with individuals of different cultures. And as you can see, the means out of 5 were all quite high on every prompt about how they now feel that these experiences benefited them to be able to relate to individuals from other cultures. Okay. Right. Likewise, when I probed their critical thinking skills and how they believe that these experiences helped their critical thinking skills, they also had very high responses from a 1 to 5 scale about how it's helped them think differently about different perspectives, cultural norms, and points of view. I had a list of open-ended responses. I'm not going to go through them due to the lack of time, but the main emergent themes were that they really enjoyed the fact that there was authenticity in these experiences, that there was a high level of interaction, that they were able to be exposed to native Spanish speakers in a very authentic environment, and that they were able to gain greater cultural insight. They also had lots of suggestions for future topics. And then I'll just close maybe here with this final student's reflection and just maybe a word about overall. The student said, this semester's experiences are fun. They all have been, but this is summertime, so maybe I was just in a fun mindset. Each one I attended was unique and had the unique personality of the hosts. They were all different, which made me look forward to each event. I love how they incorporate their family and their friends into the experience. When the parent joins the experience, it clearly demonstrates the tradition involved, for example, in making tortillas. So there was a cooking experience, or it was a mother-daughter team that did the cooking experience, and that's what the students commenting on. She goes on to say the process of making them is passed down in the family. Also, I had already completed the unit talking about food, so I felt much more comfortable with my understanding. So overall, I hope in this brief presentation, I was able to share with you how technology can be leveraged, even in an asynchronous online environment, to bring international experiences into the classroom. And although my focus is on language teaching, virtual exchange could be used in any discipline to bring in these experiences and to broaden students' international mindsets, increasing their critical thinking skills and their communicative ability across cultures. I think that the virtual exchange is highly effective, but especially when it's fully integrated into the course. So I've made the virtual exchange a central pillar in what I'm doing in my language class. It's equally as grade heavy as is the textbook activities or anything else they do in the class. This is worth 1/3 of their grade. And it's important to center it, I believe, in the course, because it really increases the student motivation, because they see that all the other skills they're developing is so that they can fully interact in these experiences and coaching sessions. And then lastly, I just wanted to make the claim that it is absolutely possible and essential to provide experiential learning in the online environment. And I'll stop there. I know I have run a little over. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to address them.
I would like to say, I think I might be able to learn a language using this experiential. And I was shared I have a language discipline, but I could understand some of those words. So I might get there.
Absolutely. It's really taking what's normally a language requirement and flipping it into an opportunity to view a world that's normally closed off to you due to a language barrier. And I think when that mindset shifts, it's really beautiful what happens. And then the learning language is almost secondary because the motivation's there. So it's like, I just want to be able to communicate more. And I don't know, it just flips it, and it's been beautiful.
Yeah, no, it looks great. Do we have any questions? I'm going to stop the recording, and just want to remind you